Hi, I think I'm live. Um, Welcome. Please introduce yourself in the chat if you're here. Just all you have to do is say hi. This is so and so. You don't have to comment. But I want this to be viewer driven, so I will shut up about whatever topic I'm excessive on and address your questions and comments. Um, it is the 20th of March, 2026. Happy spring. Today was actually a beautiful spring day for the most part. Rained later, but it got up in the 70s, and the yeah, it was great. And I have some announcements that are more personal nature. Um, Hopefully, meet with your approval. Um, so anyway, we'll get started on that. I apologize. I wasn't able to watch AP Strange on uh, UFO Classified tonight. I wish I was, but the Friday nights early in the evening, like 5 to 8, 5 to 9, is a good time to spend some quality time with my better half, and so that's what I do typically. And she, being someone who's an early riser, goes to bed around 9:30, 10, and then I come down here. So we're in the putt cave. It's not been a cold day, as I mentioned, but I get a little chilly down here in the basement. I'm thinking very seriously of moving this whole venue or redesigning it completely. And the reason for that is that I keep getting pushed into a smaller and smaller corner of the basement. And announcement number one: we're about to become empty nesters. Our daughter moved out about a year ago uh, and is now in California. Our son, our, our youngest child, is getting a place of his own with two other guys, two other musicians. It's going to be kind of like a house slash recording studio that they'll be living in, and it's closer to campus. So he'll be moving out and living there most of the time. So yeah, it's going to be different. Um, where in the house I will move this to is undetermined. Also, I would like to point out that I'm pretty happy using the mic right here on the ObsBot camera, which is the camera you're seeing me on right now. And so my old Shure mic, which is, yeah, it's a fantastic mic. But it's kind of requires some care and feeding and a lot of preamplification. So um, that might be up for grabs if you're interested at a very good price. And I also have a preamp and a voice processing strip that can travel with it. So let me know if you're interested in that. Uh, the other and even more important announcement is that sometime in the next month or two, I will be retiring from full time employment. Um, that's I have mixed feelings about that, but basically, I'm happy about it, and it means I'm going to have a lot more time to do things that I care about. Possibly even including this live stream, and that's up to you. If you participate and encourage, I will do more of these with more guests. And I don't have any new guests to announce, but I'll talk about Rachel Bond in a moment, as I did last time. Now, last time was 3 weeks ago, not two, and that's because a week ago, when I was about to do this live stream, I got hit with a power outage. It came Friday afternoon, and we didn't get power back on until Saturday afternoon, so I couldn't do the live stream. That's pretty rare. That won't happen often. But a tree came down across the power lines in our neighborhood, and we didn't suffer greatly, but we couldn't do anything um, involving streaming on our. I use Verizon Fios to handle my high bandwidth connections. The 5G here is not very good, so um, can get a connection, but I'm not going to live stream on that. Let's see. Okay, no questions or comments yet. Let me switch this from top chat to live chat. So if you got anything, chime in. You don't have to wait for me to say anything else. Just go ahead. And so I'm retiring, and I have a lot more time. I'm going to spend some of that time with on API and on podcasting related to API. I'm considering, I have not decided on possibly reviving the Wild Signal, which has been in a coma for more than a year, more like 2 years. I miss it. I miss the Unseen podcast too, but I don't think I'm going to bring that back. But what I might do is bring back a hybrid of the Wild Signal and the Unseen podcast. The Unseen podcast was an experiment, and I didn't succeed at doing what I wanted to do there. So I'm not going to continue with doing that exact thing, which was an open participation podcast. That is, anyone could be on the panel. And this live stream has a similar policy, by the way. If you want to be on the live stream, but it's not closed either. You can be on. We can form a panel of people who want to be on the live stream. If you know how to do that, which is basically restraining yourself, but still saying what you think, not talking over everybody else, or not trying to dominate things. You can do that. You can come on this live stream. Right now, it's every other Friday night, ideally. When I'm retired, it might become every Friday night if there's enough support for that. And I don't want to trample on UFO Classified, so it'll be 9 o'clock at the latest. I'm sorry, at the earliest, 9 o'clock Eastern time, possibly 10 o'clock. And if you want to participate in that once a year or once a week, whatever that you want, just contact me. I'll put a link in the description after the stream is completed, and you can be on the show whenever you see fit. Now, that's kind of contingent on you showing that you can participate in a cheerful and civil manner, and not treat your fellow panelists badly. And with the Unseen podcast, that was never really a problem. So I'm not worried about it here. We did 100 episodes of the Unseen podcast. Nearly all of them had a panel. Why did it zoom out like that? Anyway, we did about 100 episodes of the Unseen podcast. Nearly all of them had a panel. And I really liked our panels. I enjoyed our panels. Different people with different points of view. I'm just thinking today how much I missed James Garrison's input, or Nick Nielsen. There's a bunch of other guys. Mostly guys. Women were encouraged to participate, but didn't so much. You should not be afraid to participate in the API Case Files live stream, whether you're male or female, or whatever, gay or straight. conservative or liberal, religious or atheist or whatever. And your point of view is, if it's different from the rest of us, that's good. It's not a bad thing, as long as you can articulate it reasonably well. And I think if you come on a panel many times, you will eventually get much better at articulating your position. It's a really good exercise for figuring out, how do I tell people what I think and why I think it. That's the way to do that, is just to do it. Get up there, do it. And I have to say, there have been times when I've opinionated on podcasts where I look back at that and I feel a little embarrassed that I got it either insufficiently nuanced position or insufficiently well thought out point of view. Do that is by doing it. You're right. And you can do it with blog posts. You can do it with TikTok videos, whatever you want to do. But putting yourself out there is a lot different from just thinking the thoughts to yourself. A lot different. And I would encourage you to try it. So if you want to reach out to me, you can even do it in the chat right now. And I will, we'll work something out where we can communicate. I don't want you to, don't put your email in there, because that puts it out in the public. You'll get spam. But we'll talk. Let's see. Oh, yes, I wanted to, and I'll probably mention this again before I sign off here. Rachel Bond. That's about 2 weeks from now, yeah. Rachel will be on here April 3rd at 9 o'clock, 2100 Eastern Daylight Time. She has been great so far. I really enjoyed interacting with her. I've only met her face-to-face once, but the email exchanges have been very good. She is a therapist who works with people who have had anomalous experiences or just experiences that are very difficult to cope with. And she's the kind of therapist that listens to people without judgment and doesn't pathologize the fact that they're reporting something that seems unusual or what some folks would call far-fetched. I don't like the term far-fetched, even though it does have a certain ring to it, because it implies, that my subjective analysis of your memories, your experiences, is somehow more valid than your experience. That if I say, oh, that sounds far-fetched, it just means that I haven't really thought through it enough, maybe, or maybe I don't have enough imagination. I mean, I'm telling you more about myself than I'm telling you about what this person is saying. If I say that's self-contradictory, that's different. Or if I say that is not in keeping with the known facts, that's different. And I have to make that case. Now, I would remind you of Hitchens' razor, which I do accept, at least in principle, which is that which can be asserted without evidence can be dismissed without evidence. Yeah, okay. If somebody asserts something without evidence and you don't want to accept it, you don't have to. There's no penalty to your intellectual integrity by saying, I just don't buy it. That's fine. But it's also not really helpful in the conversation. What would be more helpful would be saying, well, here's why it's inconsistent with what I know. Okay. And then chances are that will leave an opening for the person who does have the experience to explain why they still have it. They remember it. That's how it is for them. It's very real to them. One thing I learned early on in this business is not to disrespect people's experiences, even if I think they are far-fetched. And I often do. Now, there's a difference between an experience that is strange, weird, out of keeping with my own experience, and something that is incoherent. But now we're getting into kind of a gray territory. And if we're talking about mental health, I'm not qualified to diagnose or treat or even really make any sense of someone else's mental illness. And mental illness is, in my mind, a very different category from delusion. I think it's very likely, I can't support this with evidence, but it seems to me anecdotally that almost everyone at some point in their life has some delusions, or at least some strong biases, or some gaps in their memory that they fill in with their own narrative. Is that mental illness? No, I think that's just human life. And so let's be very careful about that. Calling somebody crazy, calling someone deluded even, is something you want to be very careful with. I personally will not label anyone as mentally ill. Not by myself, not without the assistance of a professional. And I would not generally do it in any case, because I just don't see the point in making that kind of broad assertion about someone's state of mind. That still leaves a lot of latitude to question a claim. I want to point out, if someone claims something as a matter of fact, then you can still bring it into question based on other facts, based upon reasoning. You can do that, and I do not have a hard time with people who do that. People who say, look, here's another explanation for that whole thing that is all based upon things that we know are real. That's fine. Nothing wrong with that. And let's be honest, if you have an explanation for something that is clear, it's logical, it's consistent, and it's based on the facts, and it's based on things that we know are real, that we know it doesn't invent anything new. It just says, look, here's some existing stuff that could easily explain that. I think that we're done. We don't need to go beyond that. Now, if your experiences, your memories of things don't fit that mold, that's also okay. And it doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. Okay? It's entirely possible that nothing is wrong with you, that you are not deluded, that you are not suffering from false memories, and you are just telling us how you remember it. I've got some stories like that some of you, maybe even most of you, would reject. And that's okay. I don't mind. I wish I had objective evidence for them. I don't. maybe someday I'll tell one of those stories. But this isn't about me. It's about you, and it's about our witnesses. And speaking of that, I have to say that I am not getting a lot of new cases now at API. People are not going to report a UFO.org very often and putting in their reports. Is that a source of distress for me? Not really. We have still a backlog of cases that I have not documented or addressed that need to be done. So I'm glad that I'll get a chance to address those cases. I'm 6 years behind on one of the best cases ever, which is that Ohio video case. I think it's a real deal. It's not that I have an hypothesis that says that it's aliens or some other kind of highly anomalous source, but what I do have is an anomalous video. And maybe we can learn from that. And I'm going to write that up soon, I promise. The analysis that I have ahead of me is tough, and I haven't had much time. Real life got in the way multiple times in multiple ways. But my kids are okay now. My health is okay now. So I'm ready to go. We'll do that one. We'll do all the others too. Some of them less interesting. We have still a lot of those, load strangeness unidentifieds to address. The so-called Liz cases, low information zone. We have some other cases that probably should get more attention. So anyway, if you're out there and you've had a recent UFO sighting, or you just think you have, go to reportaufo.org and it'll take you 10 minutes if you go slow. Make a sketch before you do that. Shoot a photo of the sketch and attach that to your report. I think you'll be glad you did that. And we will investigate if there's anything we can investigate. Some of these cases, there's not a lot of promise for investigation. But anyway, yeah, reportaufo.org. Remember that. We're standing by. We have 2026, we have maybe 2 reports so far. That's not very many. And they're not great. So I know your case is great. And you do not have to worry about us considering you crazy. We don't think you're crazy. I just explained that, I hope. Whether your case is high enough quality to investigate, that is a different question. It may have nothing to do with your mental state, whatever. It may just be that's the data that we have is not good enough. Get a little liquid refreshment here. It's my voice gets quite dry. So anyway, I am happy to answer any questions. I don't think anything. I have been live for 20. Okay, so I talked about Rachel Bond. Again, that's April 3rd, 9 o'clock, not 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock Eastern. So that's 6 o'clock Pacific. If you have questions, you can get in touch with me in advance, and I will forward them to her, and that'll give us something to start. I do already have some questions from someone. Good ones, good questions from someone who's deeply involved in a similar line of work. So please do get me your questions. One way you can do that is send an email to reportaufo at protonmail.com. This will be encrypted so that you and I are the only ones that will see it. So I have a question for Rachel Bond. And if you like, I can even call you up and record you speaking your question. Another possibility is you can call our hotline. What is the number? I don't know why I can't remember this. Let's see. Okay. It's 240-883-6407. That's 240-883-6407. Call now. Actually, no, don't call now. Call in an hour. Leave a voicemail. And you can also text to that number as well. So 240-883-6407. And I am happy to, if I'm available, to take your call. I'll take it right then and there. If you have a question for Rachel, you can just text it there, or you can leave a voicemail. And also, when you do that, let me know if it's okay to use the audio in the voicemail, which I will record on the air. If you don't want your voice on the air, you just want text, I will just read it to her. That's fine. You can also come on the show. I'll send you a Zoom link. You'll come in and you can speak to her directly. If that's what you want to do. So you have a lot of different ways to ask your question. Of course, you can also ask the questions in the chat. So please show up for that. I did want to talk, I thought I'd start a little series of things where I talk about IFOs. Now, I am not sure my setup is quite right, so it may take me a minute or two fumbling around. The software I'm using is Streamlabs Desktop. Seems to work pretty well most of the time, but sometimes I have to fiddle a bit to get the windows to come up. Now, one of the, I thought I would start with here. While I'm setting this up. Let's see. Oh yeah, okay. Well, this was longer ago than I remember. Hold on, let me get this. That's a really good illustration of what a landing light looks like. And the reason I uh, pointed it out is because this plane was actually quite distant from her. It was probably more than 10 miles. It was coming almost straight towards her, and then it turned to move in to land at the Minneapolis airport. Um, the other light is another plane that's moving in from the left, um, and it's also going to land at the same airport. It's not the same distance as the landing light. It's actually quite a bit closer. Um, I was able to see that just by looking at the ADS-B data from that day, that morning, and seeing that those planes were there at exactly that time. And so there's a high degree of confidence that those are planes and that's a landing light. Now, this lady was very sincere. She really thought it was something unusual. And when I explained it to her what it was, she was happy to hear the explanation, as most of our witnesses are. Some witnesses don't like to be told that, oh, what you saw was something completely ordinary, but most are fine with it. So anyway, that's a good example of a kind of aircraft light that's not moving much left or right or up or down. It's moving pretty much straight towards you, which means it may move up very slightly because it's actually quite a bit higher altitude than you might perceive. It can be several thousand feet, a couple miles high, but it's not. But because it's far enough away, it doesn't look like it's very high. The light dims significantly and even goes away altogether when the aircraft turns with respect to your line of sight. So it could be coming toward you, can look pretty much constant, and then it turns, and now you're seeing, if you can, you're seeing the position lights and maybe the strobe on the plane, but you're not seeing the landing light anymore because it's a bright directional light going straight. And that's, you'd be surprised when people see landing lights and say, oh, that's weird. It's coming right at me. Or they won't even say that. I'll just say it's hovering there above the trees. And it's just a few hundred meters away. And when it's miles and miles away, it could be 20 or 30 miles away. Something I've said many times is that witness estimates of distance, altitude, size, and speed should not be taken literally. Even witnesses that have a lot of experience can get these things terribly wrong. I think I mentioned this before. Here's a challenge for you. Get one of the apps like Flight Radar 24 or ADS-B Exchange on your phone and go walking in an area where there's aviation traffic. And when you hear a plane, find that plane, get your eyes on it. Of course, you might need good weather for that, or at least not overcast. Get your eyes on the plane, and then estimate how far away it is and what its altitude is. Then get out the app and see where it really is. There may be some surprises. It's probably miles away from you, and it's probably not at the altitude you think. I have traffic that comes by my house all the time. Some of it is coming out of Dulles Airport, and it's usually around 15,000 feet, and it's headed east. We have traffic going into BWI, Marshall Airport, which is coming towards me, then turning, making a right turn and heading into the airport. It's usually lower. It's like, it can be as low as 3,000 feet. Traffic coming into DCA, Reagan National Airport, usually about 5,000 feet. And sporadic traffic in and out of Andrews Air Force Base, which can be at lots of different altitudes, sometimes quite low. And then we have helicopters that come over. It seems like there's a route where a medevac helicopter going into Children's Hospital in DC comes almost right over our house. It's good to use those to estimate and then calibrate how well you get such things. But the truth is, you're just guessing, but you're guessing about known objects, known aircraft. You know roughly how big they are, and the sound that you hear will depend somewhat on atmospheric conditions, the clouds and temperature and so forth, how loud it is. So it's good exercise, and I can tell you from experience, many witnesses, myself included, get these things wildly wrong. And when it's something you don't know what it is, how can you estimate its size or its distance? You can't. The only way to do that is to look at it from another point of view at the same time and triangulate. And even then, it's tricky. So let's work together to try to get these things more accurate. But the truth is, sometimes you just can't know. You just can't. Get another little water here. Okay. So let me show you another one that I shot real recently. I'm going to bring it up if I can find it. which I think I can. I'm pretty sure I can find it. No. Let's see, is it this one? Oh, well, that's actually not a bad one. Let's start with that one. Okay. You can see later in the video what's really going on. So let's. the landing lights are just one type of aircraft light, and we've had all types of aircraft lights mistaken for UFOs in the past. So if you want to become a better observer, educate yourself a bit on landing lights and positioning lights, strobes. What should planes look like? And now keep in mind that civilian planes, which is the vast majority of the planes you will see in the sky, are have a certain lighting scheme required by regulations. They're pretty much the same in other countries besides the U.S. There might be some slight differences, but for the most part, the lights that they display will be similar. Now, the landing light is not always on. It's on at night in what at relatively low altitudes, and generally the control tower when you're in what they call your Bravo airspace, which is the airspace near the airport. They'll ask you to turn that light on so you can be seen. Its initial purpose was simply to illuminate runways as you approach them, and it's still used for that. But it also makes it a lot easier to see your aircraft from a distance. So generally, when pilots get up above a certain altitude, what they call Class A aerospace, they'll turn those off, and they don't really need them. It's less crowded up there, and they can see each other with strobes and the other lights, positioning lights. So, yeah, by all means. Oh, okay, I've got something here. Oh, audio return when the window went away. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. The browser window appeared and then the audio went away. Well, I'll have to, you've given me some, thank you, Randy. You gave me something to think about. Always can improve technically with these things. And, I think I know why. Although I'm not absolutely sure why. Yeah, that was my fault. That was a mistake I made. I apologize. And I will fix that. I was not well prepared tonight. I apologize. It's been an emotional week. Not necessarily bad emotions, good emotions, but still emotional. Let's see. But anyway, I have this video for case 23010 on our playlist of witness submitted videos. You can watch that. I'm also going to, I will take you, I will put a link below about aviation lights. Now, the point I was going to make is that military lights are different sometimes. Most military aircraft, when they're flying in peacetime and domestic skies, will exhibit similar lights, but sometimes not always the same, and sometimes none, depending on what they're doing. So keep that in mind. If you see lights that don't look like civilian aircraft lights, it may very well still be an aircraft. Now, think about military aircraft. Most of them are pretty loud. You'll hear something. But if you're in your car and windows rolled up, you may not or if it's far enough away, you may not hear it, or just the wrong atmospheric conditions. So now, I'm not saying this to say, look, any light you see in the sky is an aircraft. That's not. Don't overinterpret what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that many of the lights you see in the sky are aircraft, and you should learn how to tell them apart from things that are anomalous in the sky. Stars, planets, aircraft, satellites. We already know about them. Okay, so please don't be that guy who looks at the International Space Station and says, "Oh, that's a UFO." The International Space Station can sometimes look a lot like something unusual because it's very, very bright, much brighter than other satellites typically. But it moves like a satellite and appears like a satellite, disappears like a satellite. It doesn't maneuver. The International Space Station does maneuver, but by maneuver I mean abrupt changes of direction, or going so far and then coming back in the same way. You'll never see any satellite do that. A drone, yes, could do that, but not a satellite. By sometimes the satellite flares. Satellite flares are that will depend on which satellite you're seeing, what kind of flare you see, but you may see flares pretty often, and it has to be a certain time of day or night, certain direction, but it's the sun essentially glinting off the surface of the satellite, and the satellite is different satellites have different shiny surfaces. Most of them have some shiny surfaces. It's either like a thermal radiator or a solar panel. Usually one of those two things. It can be difficult to predict exactly where the solar panels or the radiators are going to be pointing. With Iridium, which I think the entire original Iridium constellation is now gone, but with Iridium, you had very predictable flares, and they were extremely bright. But they didn't happen one right after the other like you do with Starlink. You'd see one and then you wouldn't see it again for hours. They were so predictable. I knew that I could what time to go outside to see one based upon an app that I had that predicted them. And I think it's possible that Starlink flares are fairly predictable, although I need to do some more research on that. Part of the problem is there's so many Starlink satellites. Now there are people who keep track of them, but there's a lot of them. They're not terribly bright most of the time. They're hard to see in light polluted skies. You can see them in the country rather straightforwardly. There's a lot of them. You won't see them in the winter around midnight, but you might later in the year. You could see them when the Earth's shadow is starts to move further south. So. What else should we talk about? You guys have anything you're interested in right now? I haven't done much work on cases lately. I know Marcia closed a case because the witness just didn't want to pursue it. A lot of times the witness will think there's no point in doing an investigation. I would ask you, if you report your case, let us decide if an investigation is warranted or not. We have a lot of experience, and sometimes an investigation does make sense, um, especially if it's a recent sighting. Um, and it's especially if there's more than one line of evidence, say more than one witness, or you have video. Um, Video is great. If you've got video, um, I'll be happy to take a look at it, um, as will other people in the API. We'll take a close look at your video, try to figure out what it is we're seeing. We will probably have questions about your video. So we'll need to call you and interview you, um, get your story down completely. Even if your story is not per se a UFO sighting, it might be worth investigating. So please report it. We have a couple of different instruments we can use. We have the report of investigation, which is our traditional means. We also have more recently introduced the preliminary investigation report, which explaining essentially why we don't think it should investigate the case. And we don't, in API, we don't always agree whether a case should be investigated or not. We'll talk about it. Sometimes someone will say, hey, I want to investigate that. And another person will say, well, why? What's the point? And, but if you really want to investigate, especially if you can go visit the witness, go visit the site, then it may be worth it. It may be worth it. Even though there may not be that much you can learn, sometimes going to visit the site and talking to the witness in person gives you insight into the case, and helps you write up the case more meaningfully. Then it gets a report of investigation. It doesn't mean that. Now, I should point out we rate every case for case quality. It's a 0 to 5 scale. I'm not sure I could tell you which case I would consider a 5. I'm not sure there is one. The Skylab 3 case was very high quality. I would rate it probably a 4. Not that strange a case, but it's high quality. The Coin helicopter case, again, not one that we investigated, but clearly a high quality case. And I've frankly have not believed any of the putative explanations for it. The other cases I think are even famous cases are not very good cases. Only one witness, or no other evidence, or ambiguous evidence that can be interpreted lots of different ways. So sometimes these cases are, you may think they're a 5, but they're actually more like a 2. 0, by the way, is a hoax. One is hoax, or some other kind of clear fabrication. Hoax pretty much covers most of those categories. The other thing that we have is a 1 would be like a memory somebody has of something they saw, but no other witnesses, no video, no photos. no contemporaneous documentation. Is something that happened a while ago, and this is the first time they're documenting it. Some of our most compelling cases, I think, have only hit 2 on the case quality scale. I'm sorry to say that. I wish we had better quality evidence, but we don't. There are cases that I personally believe, but my personal subjective evaluation of how good the evidence isn't helpful. So, by all means, feel free to look at our case reports that are online, and nearly all of them that we've written up are published online, and there are some that we lost. Back 2014 or something like that, we lost a few of them. That was a hard drive crash, hard drive that wasn't backed up. But by all means, look at those and tell us what you think. Did we get the strangeness and case quality right? If you know of a high quality case that you think hasn't been documented properly, we definitely want to hear about it, even if it's an older case. Let's document it. Let's work together and get it documented. If there's another Skylab 3 out there that not written up anywhere, I want to know. Keep in mind that memories of things that happened a long time ago are not that highly reliable. I wish they were. They're not. It's just how memory is. We tend to fill in details that never happened, or we have a very biased view of what happened. Things that are documented contemporaneously are a lot better for that reason, even if it's just, I don't know. And if we have the resources, we will write it up. And if we can identify it, we'll identify it. We identify about 70% of our cases. We have a bunch of others that we think we maybe could identify if we had better information. And then we have some that we think are true unknowns. Maybe if you'd like, if you're interested in it, I will start bringing some of those unknown cases to the fore, and we'll discuss them. We did that once on episode 1 with Marcia, and this was the case 12-058, a well-documented case with multiple witnesses. It wasn't a UFO, though. So, but I'd really like to hear about some more cases. And I don't mean cases like Roswell or that have already been documented to death. Let's have some new, poorly documented cases or undocumented cases. Well, I've been gabbing away for an hour. I apologize for any technical glitches. I'm going to cut it off if there's no more questions or comments. Randy, thank you for commenting on the audio glitch. I think I know how to fix it, and I will. The problem is I've switched my mic to the camera, which is almost guaranteed to be in sync, which is something that's better than audio quality. And the sync has the camera has a built-in mic. It's one thing I've noticed in the last few years, that built-in mics on iPads and laptops and other devices have improved a lot by time. And with Rachel Bond. And I'll probably put out a promo video about that soon. Not a live one, just a promo video, and what I know about. And she's a very nice person, You expect a therapist to be congenial. She is. And we will we'll see you then, huh? So good night.